And then I'll let you know when the speaker is working.
They can hear us. Yeah?
No, the
Broadcast.
yeah, the broadcast has some sound issue. We
Okay.
had it before.
But our participants can, yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Then we will continue. I think that we are fixing this technical issue, but as I mentioned, this youth virtual webinar is jointly organized by the UN Climate Change Secretariat and with YONGO. YONGO is the constituency of children and youth. Today, we have this global youth virtual dialogue that brings together young leaders from all over the world, also with decision makers, to think how we can mobilize climate action. The virtual dialogue today will showcase innovative and inspiring stories from youth from all over the world, but also you will have the opportunity to know what is action for climate empowerment and how you can engage in the local and national activities. Also, what is YONGO and how can you participate? We will have two panels. One that will be showcasing youth climate action, and we have speakers from Argentina, Italy, Pakistan, the US, but also one of the key points is how can we enhance the participation of youth in climate policies? And we have also speakers from Switzerland, Bolivia, and our colleagues from Unicef. In addition, we will have decision makers that will be sharing with us how has been the climate journey for all of them and why this climate youth action matters, and from their experience, what advices they can give to the young leaders from all over the world. And also we will have a very interactive session. I will invite you to use your mobile phones or your tablets to engage because Mentimeter will allow us also to receive your inputs, and in addition, we will have a session of questions and answers. Thanks to the YONGO focal points and also YONGO for supporting this webinar. And without any further interaction, I would like that we start with the Mentimeter. Then my colleague Amber will just walk us through this Mentimeter. Please take your mobile phones and let's start.
Yeah,
Yes, the video is not working.
I think the device is rebooting. Are you in the meeting room?
I'm in the meeting.
I think you can say.
okay, let me join the meeting.
And here it's just completely.
It's okay. So if you're mute, you can still.
Okay, yeah. So please go to Mint. Hello everyone, I just want to confirm that you can hear us. Yeah, okay, sorry, we've been dealing with quite a few technical issues, so apologies for that. So let's give it a few more seconds for people to let us know where in the world they're joining us from. So the new responses are Nigeria, Italy, and Pakistan. So just a couple more seconds and we'll move on to the next question. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. So as a warm-up, we'd like to know, in your opinion, what do youth bring to climate action? You will be able to submit multiple responses, so please let us know. Okay, innovation. Okay, innovation. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. It's great.
Yeah, I'm joining now. It's good, but we need to be
Yeah,
cool.
great.
It keeps getting unmoved outside.
Yeah, go ahead.
Then we are done.
Can I try connecting so that they can see the responses?
Stay muted, yeah?
Yeah, now are we both
Yeah.
here, the participants and
Yeah,
the
you want to do the
broadcast as well?
services one, right?
You have an 18, but turn off the camera. Yeah. Keep the camera off. And disconnect 724. They don't need the camera on. Yeah. Thank you. To dismantle the they have disconnect 724, the logic, please. Yeah, it's gone. It's gone.
Then, dear participants, as I mentioned, we are facing some technical issues, but the most important is that we are moving in few minutes to another room. Then please keep connected, give us 5 minutes more and we will join. In the meantime, I would like that all of you think about what are you doing in your countries to lead climate action. And in the session of questions and answers, you can engage. Then please continue connected. We will be with you in from 5 to 10 minutes. Thank you.
Let's do that like CBS.
Dear participants, thank you for joining us in this Global Youth Virtual Dialogue. I am delighted to welcome all the participants who have joined from all over the world, and we continue with the meeting. We have received responses from many countries. We have participants from India, Switzerland, Chile, Bolivia, Colombia, and many other countries, because today we are here to discuss how we can engage youth participation in climate action, but as well in climate policies. And also, I would like to welcome all our speakers and panelists, and as well the decision makers that will be sharing with us today how has been this journey for them and what advices do they have for the young leaders. Then, without any other introduction, I would like to welcome our Deputy Executive Secretary, Oveis Salmat. Oveis, thank you very much for joining us today.
Pleasure for me to be here.
And we know that you have a very extensive experience working at the international level, but today we have young people connected from all over the world. We would like to know about your personal experience. How has been your climate change journey? And from your perspective, why youth climate action matters? And looking back from your personal experience, what would you advise to these young leaders that are listening today?
Thank you very much, and it's a great pleasure personally and professionally for me to join this platform and to see so many of youth leaders from different parts of the world. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and I really sincerely hope that you're all safe, you and your family and everybody in this really very challenging times, unprecedented times that we are all living through. So this engagement, this global platform, bringing youth together towards a very, very important cause, which is addressing climate change, especially in these times, is extremely meaningful, very motivating, and very, very important. So I would like to thank each one of you for connecting, for spending the time with us. And I'm very pleased to see Julio Cordano from the COP Chile presidency, who is online, and great to be part of the session together with Julio, and very much look forward to hearing from him as well. Well, look, I don't need to tell you how important climate action is and the role youth are already playing, continue to play, and will be playing in the coming years, because this is about your future, this is about your environment that we are all talking about, and we need to address it in a very effective and an urgent manner. And the youth have already raised your voice and alerted the international community about the urgency of addressing climate change. So I think that is extremely important for us in the process, in the climate change organization, because that gives us the motivation, the enthusiasm, and also the moral and ethical perspective to address this challenge. And since the outbreak of the pandemic that we are all living through, we are making a very strong statement across the board to say that there will be a vaccine for the COVID, but there can never be a cure or vaccine for climate change. So for that, we really need to address it, to address the root causes of it, to mobilize action at all levels. And there again, the engagement and the involvement of youth is extremely important. So this process, the organization and what we do belongs as much as to the governments and the parties as much to you, the youth. Because I honestly, sincerely believe that you will be the leaders, you will be the ones who would be driving this action forward in the coming years and for the next generation. So all my best wishes to you. Let me share with you my own personal experience. I've been with the UN Climate Change Secretariat for just under 3 years, but before that, for a very long time, 27 years, with another UN organization dealing with migration, a humanitarian organization spread around in many parts of the world. And towards my last part of that career in IOM, I personally witnessed the impact of climate change on human mobility and the impact of people having to move, having to dislocate, having to suffer the damages created by environmental degradation, extreme climate events, and what it does to individuals, families, women, children, elderly, those who are physically handicapped, and in general to everybody, each one of us. And it was actually just after 2015, after the adoption of the Paris Agreement, the president of Kiribati came to IOM Council at that time, and he had tears in his eyes and said, well, look, in addressing climate change and human mobility for his people, it's already too late. Because that island is disappearing even in front of his eyes. And what he came to inform the organization at that time, to member states of migration organization, was not about helping migrate, but to build the capacities and skills of the population of Kiribati. So when they have to move, they will have to move, they will have to relocate, that they do that with the skills and the expertise and experience that they would have to contribute to the new societies that they will be going to. So that was a very profound impact that had a very profound impact on me, and that prompted me to see where and how I can contribute. So that actually was one of the reasons I felt it's important that on the one hand, the human mobility, the human impact, and how it relates to the climate action, climate process, which is managed by climate change. So it all happened in a kind of, in an unplanned way, but got me to the climate change organization. So very truly grateful. And what I try to do personally is to contribute as best as possible with the energy, enthusiasm, commitment, and the courage one needs to have to address this very huge global challenge, and in the midst of huge demands, huge pushes and pulls in geopolitics of the world. But what needs to remain is that commitment. And I must say, I draw a lot of that inspiration from the youth. The youth, many of you, I have met some of you personally, and that inspires me, and that gives me the motivation to continue to work and to serve and to take the process, to take the organization and the decision making forward in a direction which results in the positive outcomes that we are all looking for. And especially, and that has also significantly changed in the last few months, is because as we are going through the COVID crisis, and we can remain confident that we'll come out of it some way, one way or the other very soon. But what we need to remember is that recovery needs to happen in a very responsible way, and not go back to the old habits and the old normal that we have become so used to, and much of that old normal has created the climate emergency that we are currently living through. So we have an opportunity, as someone has said in the historical perspective, never let a crisis go to a waste. So I think we have a huge and important opportunity to mobilize that kind of support. And again, you all have a fantastic opportunity, and your engagement means a lot. So what you need to do is to, first of all, remain engaged as you're doing now, and tell your stories. Engage the communication channels at different levels, especially in the social media, in which all of you are so good at, and convey the urgency of addressing this phenomenon that we are trying to address. So that is what is needed, dear colleagues and friends all around the world. And what you can be sure of is the Climate Change Secretariat, this organization, is with you with this program, the Action for Climate Empowerment, to precisely do that, to empower you, to give you the narrative, the tools, the platform, the engagement, so that you can get together, you can collectively share your experiences, learn from each other, and give us the motivation to continue to do the work that we need to do to bring the political change, the societal change that we need to bring about. So with that, all I would like to do is to thank my colleague Adriana and her team here to bring this platform together and bring all of you together. And this is not the first or the last time, it is a continuum, and we need to remain solidly, fully engaged in this initiative. And I very much look forward to working with all of you and wish you all the very best. Keep safe and continue this engagement and be as vocal, positive, and do the best you can. And we are here to support you. So thank you very much, and I look forward to listening to your experiences.
Thank you.
Thank you, Adriana.
Thank you very much, Opes. Thank you for sharing these insights and also your personal story. As you said, it is about passion, commitment, and action. And climate change is one of the biggest challenges that humanity is facing, but also is a tremendous opportunity to think what are we doing, how we are doing, and we need your ideas, your creativity, and your innovation to bring together solutions to address the climate crisis. And then let's move very fast to the next question with Mentimeter. Now we receive many responses about where are you participating from, but also what you bring to climate action. Then Amber, let's continue with the next question in the Mentimeter.
Sure. So the code is the same, it's 598171. So if you go to menti.com, you will be able to see the question, which is, we'd like to know how much you already know about Action for Climate Empowerment activities. And if you already know a lot, there's also this option. The other option is you know about some of the activities, but not all of it. You're in the webinar to also learn. You don't know a lot, but you think that this webinar will help you with that. And the last option is that you don't know much, but you would like to learn and you would like to keep updated. So please let us know what is your level of understanding and knowledge about the ACE activities. The answers have already started coming in. That's great. So the majority of you know about some of the activities, but not all of them. That's still great. It's also good to see that some of you, 19% of you, or 24 already know a lot and you've been engaging with us. That is amazing. Oh, that number is going higher. Great. Regardless of whether how much you know about the activities, we will continue to keep you posted and keep you engaged in our activities, hopefully. Thank you.
Then, now we are going to move to know a bit what is Action for Climate Empowerment. And we will share with you a very brief presentation about how you can engage, what activities we at the Climate Change Secretariat are doing, and how you can participate. The Action for Climate Empowerment is related to Article 6 of the Convention and Article 12 of the Paris Agreement, and it has 6 main areas. It's about climate education, training, public awareness, public participation, public access to information, and international cooperation. There are 2 international agendas that were adopted in 2015, the Paris Agreement on Climate Change and the Sustainable Development Goals. The Article 12 of the Paris Agreement invites all parties to promote all the elements of ACE to really achieve the objective of the Paris Agreement, but also the Sustainable Development Goals. And there, the goal number 4, that is about quality education, is talking about education for sustainable development and as well climate change education. And the goal number 13, that is climate action, highlight also the importance to integrate climate change into the curriculum. You have been recognized as one of the key actors in the climate change process, and there are multiple activities that annually are organized to showcase youth climate action, but as well to celebrate your initiative. Every day at the Climate Change Conference, we have one day dedicated that is called the Young and Future Generations Day, and is organized jointly with Yongo. Also, since 2015, we are organizing the Global Youth Video Competition, where young people under 30 years old send the videos with concrete solutions. And we have learned about renewable energy, also different adaptation projects, how multiple awareness campaigns have been developed. We developed different publications in partnership with other UN agencies, and also we have the ACE Youth Forum that brought young leaders from all over the world in partnership with the constituency of youth. Here you can see some of the photos of the activities that also bring together decision makers and youth leaders to foster intergenerational dialogue. We have as well one day that is the education day at COP, and youth are really showcasing peer-to-peer learning, formal and informal activities. 2020 is an opportunity. In 2018, parties adopt the Katowice package, that is the work program of the Paris Agreement. And as part of this decision, they encourage parties to continue the systematic integration of gender-sensitive and participatory education, training, public awareness, public participation, public access to information, and international cooperation in all climate change policies, including the national determinate contributions. And this year, as you may know, is an opportunity where all countries are revising their NDCs, and you can participate and engage in this process at the national level. Also, we have the constituency of youth that bring together youth leaders from all over the world. And we will have the opportunity to learn more about what is Yongo, because we have the two focal points, Gita and Marie-Claire, who will share with us their activities and how you can engage. But also now, I would like to invite you to listen to our keynote speaker. She is the Princess Afet Digma from Burkina Faso. She has been one of the leaders mobilizing climate solutions in Africa. She's leading multiple initiatives to empower women, children, and youth, especially to bring to the communities skills, knowledge, but also how they can use renewable energy. Princess, thank you very much for joining us today. It is a great honor and pleasure. And you have been very active at the international and local and national level. We would like to invite you to turn on your camera and share with us how has been your climate journey. What did inspire you, and what recommendations and advices do you have to empower you to take climate action? Princess, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for having me on this very important session. First of all, before starting, allow me to thank Deputy Executive Secretary of Sarmad, my dear friend, and Fleur for being here with us. All participants, it's really, really interesting to be here with you. I know that you're doing already a lot, and don't underestimate the importance. You are already in the driving seat with social media, like what Deputy Secretary General was saying a few minutes ago. It's very critical to use your skills. Skills are very important. Using what it's near you. For instance, intergeneral with your grandparents, you can learn a lot. If I use my own example in our kingdom, it's in our habits, we used to that the grandparents with their grandkids, they plant trees. Those are simple actions that myself I use from my own kids, and also that I have been showing to other students in the Netherlands, for instance, at the St. Jan's Lyceum, where some of my kids were studying. To go back with what you were saying, Adriana, I didn't wait for solutions because I was aware that I'm the solutions. What I'm implementing right now is what I already had in mind when I was 16 years old. Just to say that what you have to just tell you that you're on the right path, what you have actually thinking of. Try to find the people around you. It's not so far. It can be in your family, the friends of your parents, or also in the international arena like you are in today, that you are leading in your own countries and that you bring also others with you. It's not time to argue anymore. Solutions are there, we can implement, and it's also jobs, green jobs for you, that you also can partner with your brothers and sisters on the other side of the planet. And nowadays, even COVID have shown us that we can really do different. We have been forced by Mother Nature, by a little virus that we even our eyes don't see, that is pushes us to collaborate more, to go more in the partnership and implement the SDGs and the Paris Agreement that you're doing. Action for climate empowerment is really critical and very important. Luckily, the NDCs will be revised, as Adriana was saying in her presentation. It's time to take your voice and go to your MPs, to your mayors, and ask them, what are you doing in the local policy framework to implement what we think is our future, that if they don't have a solution, you can help shaping that. This is one of the examples that I have done myself and that I'm sharing it with you here. Digitalization is really critical. We can use digitalization to consolidate, accelerate what you are doing. This is very important. Together, the together is most important than ever. Nobody can do anything alone. We need partnership more than ever. Whatever you do, again, in your environment, it is very important. And I think that the platform of Action and Climate for Empowerment is really a very good one that we can do together. Myself, what I'm doing in the ECOWAS region, I count 15 countries with a population who's roughly 400 million people, is with implementing the Mama Light Initiative for Sustainable Energy that I initiated and who has been distinguished by the United Nations at the General Assembly 2015 as one of the 14 breakthrough solutions achieving the SDGs. From the very beginning, the solar products that I designed were eco-friendly, that we also think ahead how we're going to recycle. Whatever you do, and you are the next product designer, we need to think by design that the product that we bring and market our waste, how we are going to recycle those waste. And also in terms of food, the food value chain. You know that a lot of the young people in the global south are farmers. It's in your turn as well as young leaders in the driving seat to think also how you bringing your brothers and sisters who are in the farming field, the girls who helping their mothers to farm, to trade, how digitalization with e-commerce platform, for instance, that we can empower and give market access is really integrated. And luckily you have a champion, our champion, my brother, Oveis, who's here to really combine all of this to support your actions and bring in and go to the donors and say, listen, our kids, they are aware, they want really to do something to support. Give them that platform, mainstream and budgetize aid on whatever development fundings that you're doing. And this also goes to the multilateral development banks. it's a call here to show that to also reinforce and say, whatever you do, the loans that you lend, make sure that you have a key performance indicators out there for our youth. And also digitalization can really show accountability. And nowadays, as I said, no time for argue. All is here is a matter of acting and acting together. And I will end with our African quote that you all know. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, we go together. So I will end up here, and really, I really look forward to listen to the next two panels to really go together. This is really fantastic. And I look forward to listen to the panelists from Unicef and from UNGO. Thank you, UNGO, and together we are strong. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Princess, thank you so much. Really, it's always a great pleasure to see you and to hear you. We talked yesterday, and it's really very, very encouraging, reassuring that you're part of this very important initiative of empowering the youth, and your perspective and your experience and the initiative that we are working together has a lot of potential. So I'm really, really grateful to you for your commitment and engagement. Thank you very much, Princess.
Thank you very much, Princess. Thank you very much, Abes. And now we will move with another section. We have been talking about Yongo, but what is Yongo? And I would like to invite the focal point, one of the focal points in this case, I would like to invite Hita Lankani from India to share with us what is Yongo and how you can participate. Then Hita, I'll invite you to turn on your camera, and also Marie-Claire, maybe you can turn on your camera and share with us what is Yongo.
Thank you, Adriana. And I'd first like to begin with saying thank you, of course, to the UNFCCC and to the ACE team that we've been working closely with for the past so many years. But also a special thank you to Oves and the Executive Office for all your support, and especially Princess for being here as one of the keynote speakers for today's session. We're very happy to do this collaborative effort and look forward to working continuously with the Secretariat also. So yes, coming to the point, what is Yango? Yango is the official youth constituency within the UNFCCC. So what does that mean? It is the official space for young people to engage within the UNFCCC process, to engage within the negotiations, and to ensure that youth voices are heard at the negotiations as well. So Yango is basically a network of youth, from youth individuals as well as organizations from around the world. And we are active mainly, of course, during the two negotiating sessions, during the SV and the COPs. But other than that, Yango also has multiple working groups that are active throughout the year. So currently we have more than 20 working groups on different topics. Not all of them are active all throughout the year. Most of them are active during the sessions because some of them are very thematic working groups, like, for example, adaptation, loss and damage mitigation. But we also have a lot of cross-cutting working groups like human rights or cities working group, or indigenous people. So we have working groups that sort of cover a lot of sections which are either negotiating topics or even cross-cutting issues which matter in terms of climate change and climate justice. Yango is a horizontal platform. It's an open space where we don't have hierarchy. So it's a space where young people are free to engage in. And maybe start something that they might like, maybe start a new working group that is possibly not currently there within Yango. So it's basically a very open space to work with youth from across the world. And our main sort of conference that happens is the COI, which is the Conference of Youth. It usually happens a few days before the COP, when the COP is scheduled to take place. And this is where young people come together, brainstorm, and basically prepare for the COP, which is our main working space as Yango, which is the constituency to the UNFCCC. So yeah, this is what Yango is. It's a network of young people from across the world working together with the sole goal of changing how people work and ensuring that youth voices are heard, because we don't have time to fight the climate crisis. We have to start already. So we're here for working on the climate crisis together.
Very much, Kita. And if any person would like to be part of Jungle, how can they join?
So we're in the process of redoing our website, but we have our social media handles. We're active on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. But alternatively, we can also share our email IDs, and you can write to Marie Claire or me, and we'll ensure that you can join the Yango mailing list and the channels that we have.
Very much, Kita, and it's an invitation to all the participants who are just join this virtual dialogue. If you are interested and you would like to be part, to engage with Hita and Marie Claire, the Jungle focal points, and to start taking action. As the princess said, we cannot wait for the solutions. We need to lead the solutions, and you can start in your own communities. Let's move then with the first panel. We have young leaders from all over the world who are leading climate solutions. Let me introduce, we have Ezequiel Opolula, he's from Nigeria, Heli Campbell from the US, Maria Agustina Rodriguez from Argentina, Lodovica Catavini from Italy, and Shayan Suberi from Pakistan. I would like to invite you all, please, to tour on your cameras, and I will have three main questions for all of you. The first one is, when did you start engaging in climate change? And what did happen? How did you get inspired to take climate action? And currently, what are you doing in your communities? And I would like to start with Ezequiel. Ezequiel, you are joining us from Nigeria. Please, the floor is yours.
Good day, everyone. My name is Ezekiel. I'm joining this conversation from Nigeria. This opportunity is a very great one. Non-governmental organization in Nigeria called Women Environment and Youth Development Initiative. So I started engaging in ACE to be a part of the solution to our future as youth. And as such, my engagements are centered around education. So this led me to reaching out to schools in my locality and to teach students the kind of actions they can take individually and their locality, so that they would also find it very easy to key into these climate discussions that we are having. So fortunately, my engagement is not only limited to that. I also engage a lot with farmers in rural communities also in our state, Kwara State, and we teach them sustainable agricultural practices that they can also implement into their farming system for them to, in the face of climate change, so that their output won't just be adversely affected by the climate change that we are talking about. Well, climate change is so interesting that subsequently, based on all these engagements that I have been doing for a very long period of time, it actually showed me one other thing that I can actually key into, of which, and fortunately, I started that recently, not so long ago. So it led me to starting a climate-friendly startup, an environmental-friendly one. We incentivize people to bring in waste, and by doing such, we encourage them to cut down on the number of plastics that eventually leaks into the ocean and the rivers in our community. And with such, it has even availed me the opportunity to open the mind of others also to climate realities, and also to take concrete action in combating pollution and all other adverse climate effects that we are facing in our community. The truth of it is, based on my experience, our environment, and based on reality and scientific facts, our environment, the world we have, is a very beautiful one. It is really beautiful, but the best thing would be for us to just live a very beautiful world like we made for the generations that are to come. And as such, I am putting out to everyone who is watching me from all around the world to make it an important part of our life to take concrete climate action. No action can be too small when we are talking about action for climate empowerment, agreed, all of us can start a startup, but there is always one little thing, just like Princess said, and like we've been saying since morning, there's always one little thing that we can do to increase the volume of the climate action around us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ezequiel, and also continue doing what you are doing because you are leading climate solutions. Then I would like to invite Helene Campbell from the US. Helene, please share with us your climate story.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me today. My name is Haley Campbell. I am from the United States and I am 22 years old. I am the program director for Care About Climate's Ambassador Program, a Master's of Sustainability student, and currently aiding with the design of my university's Climate Resilience Plan. My climate action journey began in high school during a class debate on global environmental problems. From this, I was inspired to learn more about empowering students to build resilience to climate change, which led me to create an open access community garden at my local elementary school. The success of this project motivated me to study sustainability in college, where my desires to create climate resilient communities and sustainable food supply chains flourished. When thinking about food, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? If you're like most people I've asked, you probably thought about a dish that is important to your culture, your favorite food, or even the last meal you ate. For me, I thought of one of my favorite foods, popcorn. I'm sure most of you did not think about one very important characteristic of food, food waste. Food is characterized by a diversity of habits and traditions, yet wasting food is largely ignored. According to the FAO, globally, about 1/3 of food produced for human consumption is lost or wasted every single year, which is equivalent to 1.3 billion tons of food. To put this in perspective, we could power nearly 400 million smartphones with the amount of greenhouse gas equivalent energy produced by food waste. So what have I done to help deal with food waste? One option for reducing the emissions component of food waste is via composting, which can divert up to 150 kilograms of food waste per household per year. To explore this solution, I utilized my study abroad internship to design a strategy for reducing food waste in the community as a climate mitigation tool. Under the direction of Corclima, a group that unites local actions for resilience to climate change in Monteverde, Costa Rica, I interviewed over a dozen community members and researched best practices for dealing with food waste in Latin America. I quickly learned there was an overall desire to increase composting, but a lack of community knowledge to do so. With that as my guide, I designed a 40-page compost manual, complete with the compost system size and style flowchart based on space availability. All the steps to maintain a compost system in a tropical environment and creative ways to utilize the finished product. While composting is a fantastic way to reduce the greenhouse gas impacts of food waste, it doesn't solve the problem. Another option for reducing food waste is empowering consumers to change their food waste behaviors. In an attempt to investigate this solution for my undergraduate honors thesis, I created a pilot study using dynamic social norms that intervened in post-consumer food waste behaviors by placing a sign at the beginning of a buffet line. This study not only successfully fostered behavior change, but was the first to both quantitatively and qualitatively explore dynamic norms as a tool for reducing post-consumer food waste at the university level. While both of these solutions operate at different ends of the waste spectrum, they do share one thing in common. They both involve key elements of ACE to foster change, including the importance of translating institutional research into public practice and engaging with community members to identify the problem and design solutions to advance climate action. So if you're looking for guidance to lead a climate action in your community today, I encourage you to explore Care About Climate's new Climate Academy and Ambassadors program, which will provide you with sustainability project management skills and a mentor to help you achieve success in your projects. I look forward to working with each of you in this program and would like to thank you all for your time.
Thank you very much, Heli. I'm looking forward to continue working with you. And now I would like to invite Maria Agustina. Maria Agustina, you are joined from Argentina. Please share with us your climate story.
Hello, everyone. My name is Agustina. I am from Argentina. I studied environmental management. I am a member of Laudato Si Generation and GCCM. My involvement in climate action began 17 years ago when I witnessed the flood in the city where my grandma lived. This fact deeply marked my memory as I couldn't understand what was happening. I saw pictures of families with children my own age who lost everything, their houses, their animals, everything. And I wondered how I could continue to go to school and live normally when those families had lost everything. Over time, I became more and more involved, understanding climate action as a way to help people most affected by the consequences of climate change and the inaction on the part of many governments. That's why I started helping with a group in a very precarious settlement in the north of my city, where families are deeply affected by extreme weather and pollution. We built a green area where there used to be an informal landfill, and we were able to provide a better quality of life, especially for children who used to play in the middle of the trash. There is a lot to be done, but I have hope in young climate activists who help disadvantaged communities so that they can adapt to this increasingly difficult situation. Earlier this year, I went on a mission to Angola to provide environmental education to young people. That experience helped me a lot to realize and recognize that we are all interconnected. The issues we address here in Latin America are similar to the issues they face in Africa. Our challenges, hopes, fears are identical, and we need equal opportunities for everyone in the whole world. My actions, whether good or bad here, end up affecting people living in other parts of the world. Climate change, like COVID-19, makes no distinction of race, nationality, gender, or social class. For me, the most important thing is to recognize the urgency of the problem and to accept that the only way to solve it is by our decisive action here and now. I believe that we as youth must put all our knowledge and our drive for action on the climate crisis into building a better future for all. And my message for you today is to listen to the cry of the air and the cry of the poor, because everything is connected and we are all connected. Thank you.
Thank you, Agustina. And as you said, all of us are interconnected. I would like then to invite Lodovica. Lodovica, you are joining us from Italy. Please share your climate story with us.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me in this webinar, Action for Climate Empowerment. I'm Lodovica from Italy, and I've been a climate activist for the past 8 years with the Climate Reality Project, a global environmental organization. And my story is about how youth-led local initiatives can have a global impact. I first became acquainted with the issue on climate change when I watched the documentary An Inconvenient Truth. Back then I was 17 and I did not suspect that the climate crisis was going to be of these proportions as we know today. Still, when I entered university, I tried to inform myself on the topic, but then realized that unless I wanted to study in a specific university degree related to climate change, there was little material to be found. It was finally after entering the Climate Reality Project that I obtained the tools, not only to know better about the topic, but also to better explain the climate crisis to other people who were not activists. Still, to me, there was something missing. I felt like there was a detachment between the civil society and the institutions in matters concerning environmental and sustainability policies. This is why, after joining the first local conference of youth in Italy last year, I've decided to help organizing these youth-led conferences both at a global level in Yango and at a local level in my country. The LCOIs are events centered on climate and sustainability, organized by the youth and for the youth. Their goal is to engage, inform, and empower youth by giving them the capacity building skills and a space where their ideas and voices can be heard. Through the participation in workshops and roundtables on specific topics, youth can lay out proposals that on one side will be brought to the Global Conference of Youth events, which happens usually 3 days before COP, and on the other side, they can be implemented locally. In fact, as an example, some of last year's proposals coming from LCOI Italy, such as plans for local sustainable mobility, was received and welcomed by the Environmental Commission in the city of Florence, where the conference was held. As well, a sustainability observatory was created by local environmental associations and organizations to help bridge the gap between civil society and local institutions in carrying out implementing environmental policies, some of which were coming from the Alcoy. This is why I think that the local conferences of youth are such an important part of ACE, because they establish a dialogue between the government and its people, especially by integrating youth in the decision-making process. They raise awareness about the climate crisis, and they give back an important role to the civil society in the formulation of environmental policies for the community in which people live in. And I hope that in this new decade of action, we will see more Alcoys happening around the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Ludovica. And yes, we need to take action and working together. We will continue, and the Conference of Youth is an excellent initiative, not only at the international level, but also at the local and national level. Then I would like to invite Shayan Suberi. Shayan, you are joining us from Pakistan. Please share your climate story with us.
Thank you, Adriana. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, everyone who has joined this session from different parts of the world. I am Shayan Zuberi. So my journey starts from my childhood. Since my early teenage years, I was very passionate about hiking and traveling to remote places. This naturally made a connection with the environment. All this passion was there, but when I was applying for university, I couldn't get a chance to get into environmental engineering degree. So during the whole year, I was literally researching about the environment which is directly linked with the human health and growth of young minds. My hard work paid off. Exactly after a year, when I got into my favorite degree. During that, I started advocacy of environmental issues and also realized that climate education is most important as it teaches young minds to care about the motherland, that is Earth. So I started visiting primary schools on almost every Saturday. I made a vow with myself that I will at least conduct one seminar on environmental problems every week. This also motivated me to engage a vast amount of people from old age homes. They used to get so passionate when we used to deliver our lectures, and they actually become our workforce by drafting educational material for the kids. This created a whole ecosystem. Right now, I have a network of 400 kids from slum schools that are involved in, and they are getting training on how to do kitchen farming and how to conserve water. Basically, they are the environmental ambassadors. Today, on this day, I just graduated, and I can proudly say that I have a bigger responsibility of teaching the youth with my expertise. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Shayan, and thank you to all of you, Agustin, Shayan, Lodovica, Heli, and Ezequiel, for really leading climate solution in your communities. And we need more youth. You know, we need that you spread the word, that you continue connecting to mobilize more climate actions. And now we will move to the second panel, a panel that highlights why it's important that youth leaders will participate and continue engaging in the climate policies. But before that we go to the second panel, I would like that you join us using your mobile phone or your tablet, because we will have a Mentimeter. And Mentimeter is a platform that will allow to engage and to send your ideas and comments. Then I would like to invite Amber to walk us to the Mentimeter with the next question. Amber, please.
Sure. So just a reminder, if you want to participate in the interactive session, please go to menti.com and add the code 598171, and that will take you to discussion. We'd like to hear from you about what are some of the barriers or challenges you face when you are undertaking climate action in the field, in your own communities. Please let us know what they are so that we can help in some way, hopefully. So some of the responses that have come in already include lack of empathy, lack of resources, policy, lack of knowledge, lack of awareness. Funding is also pointed out as one of the challenges. Poverty is also there. Great, so resources and funding are pointed out as one of the main challenges. Let's give it a few more seconds to see how other people feel about this question. So if you are currently on the last slide, you will get a pop-up notification saying that the presenter has changed slides, so you will be able to go on the slide that we're currently on. So please let us know what are some of the topics that you would like to learn more about so that we can engage you in the future on some of the other virtual workshops.
She say they can hear you. But could you keep going on?
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Okay. So in case you didn't hear me before, I was just saying that we will, in the near future, we will be arranging more online workshops. So please let us know what are some of the topics that you would like to learn more about so we can actually plan accordingly. And some of the topics are very interesting. We have youth empowerment, funding, climate finance, long-term solutions, climate policy, education, strategy, interactive education, social impact. These are all very, very good topics. And let's just give it a few more seconds. We already have 22 people who have engaged with us so far on this question. So let's just give the others a chance as well. In this question, you can also submit multiple responses. So if you have more than one topic that you would like to learn about, you can let us know here.
Thank you very much, Amber. And remember that you can continue sending your inputs in the Mentimeter, because as Amber said, the idea is to continue organizing multiple virtual activities with a focus to develop skills, knowledge, and especially to empower you to take climate action. We will move to the second panel, and I am delighted to welcome our speakers. We have Marie-Claire, who is the young focal point from the Global North. Also, Amy Wickham, she is in New York in the headquarters of Unicef. Fabiola Rios, who is working as well in Unicef in the office in Bolivia. And Carolina Vaca, who is the coordinator of the Youth Council for Mother Earth. This panel will be discussing about the importance of engaging and promoting the participation of youth in climate policies. And I would like to start, I would like to invite all our speakers, please, to turn on your camera. And I would like to start with Marie-Claire. Marie-Claire, you have been participating very actively at national level. And from your experience, why it is important to engage youth in climate policies, and what is happening in Switzerland? How are you engaging, and what advices do you have for other youth who want to participate in these climate change policy processes in other countries? Marie-Claire, please.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Adriana. And as you have rightly mentioned, I'm not only the Global North focal point of Younger, but also I have been mandated by the President of Switzerland last year to serve in the official Swiss delegation. And amongst other topics, also follow up on ACE. I was negotiating on the gender action plan, on technology transfer, on capacity building, and was following up on ACE. And this was initiated because we thought, as everyone, that this year is very important for ACE, and we're going to negotiate on the new ACE program, and Switzerland wanted to be engaged in this and also take a leading position even in our grouping, in the environmental integrity group. So I was appointed by the president to serve in this group as young as ever delegate, and I think this is an amazing statement of trust to young people, also that we have shown enough commitment. We have proven that we are very competent, that we can negotiate on this high level rounds, that we are able to make meaningful contributions and advocacy. And I think this itself is a brilliant statement. But what is now the point? I mean, yes, it's great that Switzerland had someone young in the delegation and even gave me a right to negotiate on behalf of Switzerland and our grouping. But on the other hand, we need to scale this up. I mean, there are still 195 other countries, and the goal is that we have young people from all these countries being like sitting on the table and supporting. What I got as feedback from the other members of the delegation was that it was very refreshing to have someone young in the delegation, someone who is questioning things, because like the other delegation, they have been there for many years. So it was also a very refreshing experience for them before, like in the preparation phase, but also at the conference and afterwards. And I think now it's really the step we as young people, but also the delegation, and also that's where we hope for getting support also from the Secretariat to in lead up to the COP26 to really make it to stress the point of the importance of having young people sitting at the table when decisions are taken. And of course, there are like a lot of young people who will be there as civil society and observer, and this is really important. But we also need to have young people being engaged when decisions are taken, and basically show them good examples, the Swiss example, for example, but also other examples where young people have been contributing very meaningfully in the policy making. And as you also mentioned, now I mean there is like nothing happening, but this is giving us a great time span now to prepare and engage, especially in the NDC process, very meaningfully with our national delegations and our countries, and there show again how important it is to engage and make meaningful contributions, that when we are next year coming into the phase of that the parties are putting together their delegation, that they consider young people as part of their delegation. In Switzerland at the moment, unfortunately, all the engagement around ACE is stalled as everywhere, but nevertheless Switzerland is very committed, as well as a lot of other countries, as soon as we can negotiate again to be part and also take a leading role on this, and hopefully for me personally support other countries as well to take young people into the delegation.
Thank you very much, Marie-Claire. But if I will ask you, I think that there are young leaders who would like to be part of this climate change policy process at national level, and many of them, they don't know what to do and how. What would be your advice? How they can start? How can they engage?
Yeah, I think that reaching out to the ACE focal points, there are 109, so a lot of countries are covered, not all of them. Can be a way, because these people are very often also engaged with young people. Otherwise, try to reach out to any other negotiator in the team, in the delegations, and then try to engage meaningfully. So not just say like, oh, I want to be in a delegation, but first show what you're doing, try to contribute, try to bring in the voice of young people, what we're doing here on ACE, but also what we're doing personally, and then basically show them the importance of young people. And I mean, of course, I can always have a call. I also had already calls with other young people who want to engage with the delegations, try to give them tips, like very personally, like how they can engage, even try to give them some contacts. And yeah, I think that's the only way how we can do it. And if we are at the session, then yeah, really take this opportunity to be in a room with these people and go up to them and say, hey, I'm from your country and I want to talk to you. And this is so important. Really use this opportunity and not be afraid, because personally, I always thought like this negotiator, they know everything, and I'm not knowledgeable enough to even approach them. And then when I was myself a negotiator, I actually saw that, yeah, also negotiators don't know everything, and also they have questions, and also they are human beings. So yeah, just go there, ask the question, introduce yourself, and yeah, stay in contact with them.
Thank you very much, very clear. And now I would like to invite Amy, who is now in New York, and she works with Unicef in the headquarters of Unicef. Last year, Unicef prepared a report about the engagement of youth and children in the climate process, but especially a review of the NDCs. Then, Amy, thank you very much for joining us today. You please share with us what Unicef is doing to engage youth, and also some reflections from the study that you conducted last year. Amy, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Adriana, and thank you, Marie-Claire, and thank you to all colleagues at UNGO, ACE, and UNFCCC in particular, Adriana, for bringing this important dialogue and for inviting UNICEF to be a part of it. In particular, thanks to Mr. Ovais Ahmad and Her Royal Highness Princess Sigma for the inspiring words shared and your attention to this agenda, and to the fantastic youth leaders that have already shared your encouraging stories of change. As Adriana mentioned, my name is Amy Wickham. I work with the Climate, Energy and Environment team in Unicef headquarters in New York. Today, I'll talk a little bit about Unicef's engagement with children, adolescents and young people on climate action. Young people and children, they're concerned, they're powerful agents of change, and they have a right to have their voices heard on matters that affect them. Unicef has an important role to play in furthering their meaningful participation. So what is Unicef doing? We're engaging in disaster risk reduction through climate smart schools, building on our long-standing involvement as part of the Safe Schools program. We're engaging in sustainability and environmental education, such as World's Largest Lesson. We're engaging in policy action, such as through the NDCs and the participation at events like COP and World Children's Day. And we're also engaging in local activism, such as for support to marches and Fridays for Future. To share a few examples, we are promoting solutions. On the top left, you have School Made of Plastic Bricks from Côte d'Ivoire, and this is highlighting the best practices of climate action, especially those that are innovative and are youth-led. We're supporting youth summits. To the right, on the top, you have a youth summit on water and climate change in Bolivia, and this is about strengthening youth leadership in climate change adaptation and integrated water resource management. We're cultivating leaders and giving youth a platform. On the left bottom, you have Tashin from Bangladesh, who was supported to engage in the Youth Climate Summit. And bringing it all together on the bottom right, you have a picture from COP25 in Madrid last year, where Youngo and Unicef and other organizations launched a new declaration on children, youth and climate action, which was one of the most successful events at COP, which cultivated youth leaders, promoting solutions and giving youth a voice in the dialogue. When we consider climate action, we must think about climate policies. And thank you for Adriana for making reference to the recently conducted study that Unicef has launched, which is Are Climate Policies Child Sensitive? And this study highlighted that only 42% of NDCs, nationally determined contributions, contain direct reference to children or youth, while only 20% mention children specifically. There is a clear need to engage and empower children, adolescents and young people in climate action, and in particular climate action with resulting impact to climate policy development. Listed here are 4 key areas to engage in this regard, but for now I'll just focus on the engagement of children and young people, and one key way is through UNICEF's Youth Climate Network, which is a clear focus on aspects of training, action and connection to advance child and youth engagement in this agenda. But for now, I would like to hand over to my colleague Fabiola, who's been putting these words into action and will share more exciting detail about how UNICEF Bolivia has been supporting the use of ACE to support climate action in Bolivia. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. I am Fabiola Rios. I am coordinator of the Climate Change Participation Strategy. Use an ACE framework to support NDCs in Bolivia. Promoting the ACE agenda in Bolivia, one of UNICEF priorities. In Bolivia, the ACE framework is not yet part of the national agenda. However, the objective is to develop a national ACE strategy. To this purpose, UNICEF Bolivia is working with 2 actors, government and youth, in order to institutionalize the participation of children and youth in climate policies, strategies, and programs. Next slide, please, Amy. Next slide, please. Thank you, Amy. UNICEF Bolivia implements the 6 ACE components. I'd like to highlight 2 of them, components first and 5. First, education. In this component, we work with different groups on often is youth organization with whom we are developing exchange process, such as an NDC's IS diploma course together with Young Mexico. 5. Public participation. UNICEF has been promoting work agreement with the government as seeking commitment of the authorities in the development of official mechanisms for the participation of youth in the planning and implementation of public policies on climate environment, such as the NDC's agenda. Next slide, please, Amy. Thank you. NDC's strategy. For the NDC's updating in Bolivia, UNICEF has 3 actions which we are agreeing on with the NDA, Minister of the Development Planning and Plurinational Authority of Mother Earth. One, research to development of evidence-specific research for the NDC's agenda, such as city and climate actions. Two, consulting space to build agreements between child, youth, and different sectors, such as water, energy, and industry in the NDC's agenda. Indicators and monitoring. The indicators are the most effective factor in ensuring the inclusions of children and youth needs and interests in the NDC's updated, and do the monitoring process. Thank you. Now we continue with Carolina Vaca, please.
Hi. Hi, everybody. I'm glad to be here with you. I'm Carolina Vaca, National Coordinator of the Youth Council for Mother Earth. This is a youth environmental organization that is present in all the regions of Bolivia, both urban and rural areas. Our story begins with the Youth Water and Climate Change and Summit in 2018. This is when we decide we must take responsibility as young people to tackle climate change through participation in development and stringent and hence public policies. In addition, that meeting was the first space to establish links with state environmental entities, such as the Ministry of the Environment and Water and the Plurinational Authority for Mother Earth, along with the full support of Unicef. Next slide, please, Amy. Next slide, please.
Sorry, Carolina, it's not moving for some reason.
Okay.
I'll keep trying.
So, in January 2019, we officially became an organization, and a little over a year of work, we have carried out activities that allow us to be potential actors on the agenda of action for climate empowerment at the Bolivian level. This is demonstrated in the following points. We systematize our activities and learn from them. We carry out research and innovation activities in the area of water resource, environment pollution, and bring attention to disasters such as the one that occurred last year in Chiquitania and the Amazon of Bolivia. Also, in the management of solid waste, we have created the Reencuadernate project to support education for recycling from larger cities. We collect used notebooks to recycle or reuse and later deliver school children in indigenous communities. Two, we strengthen the articulation of networks and partners that lead us to influence public policies. For example, we support the project of the law of reduction and replacement of plastic bags. Two, we take our voice to the Senate of the Plurinational Legislative Assembly of Bolivia. Three, we continue to learn. Despite the health crisis caused by COVID-19, we continue learning and creating space for dialogue, such as the webinar called COVID-19 Analysis of Social Environmental Impact in Bolivia. 4, we create communication channels with public entities, such ministries and secretariats of the environment. And this is the case of City of Potosí, where we are considered as a fundamental youth organization for the development of public policies and environmental education activities. This is how we commit to developing the ACE agenda, to position it with the understanding that we must seek resilient paths that lead us to achieve our ultimate goal of meaningful engagement of youth people in the climate action. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marie-Claire, Fabiola, Carolina, and Amy. Thank you for bringing the topic about the importance to empower youth leaders to participate in decision-making process and especially in climate policies as well. And looking forward that this work that Unicef is leading is also spreading in other countries and in other regions. Now we will move to the last two questions that we have in Mentimeter, and we will have also one of the policymakers. Currently, the COP25 presidency is with Chile, and we have Julio Cordano, who is the UNFCCC focal point. Then before that we listen Julio, I would like to invite you to connect in your with your mobile phones or tablets in the meantime there. Amber, please walk us through the last two questions.
Yeah, this is our last interactive session. So for those of you who haven't yet participated, this is a good opportunity to let us know what you think. We would like to know which of the 6 elements or components of ACE are in greatest need of development in your country. So you will be able to rank them in order from 1st to 6th. So please let us know which of these elements, whether it's education, training, public awareness, public participation, public access to information, or international cooperation, that is in greatest need of development in your own country. The code for the interactive session is the same. It's 598171. Great, the responses have started coming in. So we see that education is one of the priorities of development in your own country. Then we have training, and then the 3rd rank is for public participation. Let's see if these answers or ranks change when more people answer. So far, 16 people have engaged with us. We'll give it a couple more seconds to allow others to also participate. This is our last interactive session, so if you want your voice to be heard or if you want to let us know what you think, please do participate in this. Just go to menti.com and enter the code, which is visible at the top of the screen. Okay, so now we have public awareness that has trumped training. It's now on the 2nd rank. So according to you all, education is in greatest need of development, followed by public awareness, public participation, training, and then public access to information and international cooperation. So last few minutes and we move on to the last question. Okay, great. We've had 24 responses. Let's move on to the last question. Like you heard Mary Claire talk about her experience with NDC revision, we'd like to know if you've been ever involved in the revision process for your own country's NDC. So if you haven't yet, but you would like to be involved and you'd like to get more updates on the process, you can let us know and we'll try what we can do there. There's a lot of interest. People haven't participated yet, but they would like to be involved in the process. It's good to know. We finally have a few people who have been engaged already. That's great. We see a lot of interest coming to participate in the process. That is definitely a good sign. We do need to partner with governments. We do need to participate in the process to bring about the change that we wish to see. Okay, so we've already got 25 responses. Last chance, just the last few seconds. Please do let us know what your engagement process has been and what you would like to do in the future. It's good to see a lot of interest coming in for engaging in the revision process for your country's NDC. This year is perfect to do that, as more and more countries will be submitting their revised NDCs. Great, thank you so much for participating.
Thank you very much, Amber. And as we mentioned at the beginning, 2020 is an opportunity to engage with your countries, with your governments in the review of the national determined contributions, but as well to engage and participate in the formulation and implementation of climate policies. And now I would like to invite our next speaker, that is Julio Cordano. Julio Cordano is from Chile, and he is the UNFCCC national focal point. He has been a negotiator, and we will hear from him about his experience. I know that also Chile is thinking about how to promote and empower youth to participate as part of the national delegation, but as well to develop their skills. Then Julio, thank you very much for joining us today. We know that it's very early in Chile. Please share some of your reflections and closing remarks. And before that we close, also we will have some space to respond to some of the questions that you have formulated through the webinar. Then Julio, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Adriana. Thank you very much for the invitation. I'm very, very happy to speak on behalf of the COP25 presidency. As you know, as been said already, we are in a very, very important moment in the process of the UNFCCC, but overall in the way we as international community respond to the climate challenge and the climate crisis that we are increasingly facing. And in this regard, the connection between the decision-making level and the youth is extremely important to enrich our view and to make sure that we are making the right decisions for the future generations. And so thank you very much also to Ovais and Her Royal Highness for her inspiring words, and for me for the opportunity to participate in this very important dialogue. I think I would like to start by acknowledging the very rich examples and stories and initiatives that have been shared throughout this event. I think they really speak very, very strongly about the passion and the interest that many young people have everywhere in the world to contribute to this very difficult task, very difficult challenge that we are facing as humanity. So I think this dialogue needs to continue. This dialogue needs to be fostered, and I think the indication that many of you have already said in the online survey, saying that education is a paramount, is an absolute priority, I think also speaks about the need to increase the flow of information, make sure that everybody understands what is at stake, and make sure that everybody understands that everybody has to contribute something. Everybody have the tools to contribute, and I think it's extremely important that message comes across. From my end, I will say that I'm a Chilean diplomat. I've been more than 20 years in the foreign service of my country, and in the last 8 to 9 years, I've been involved in the UNFCCC process. So I'm fairly new compared to other colleagues in the process that have been forever or from the beginning in the process. But still, I think I've seen a lot of developments. I saw the process of the Paris Agreement. I saw, the Katowice rulebook being adopted and participated actively on that, and more recently, of course, the presidency of COP25. And throughout all these years, I think it's been a constant force to be acknowledged and to be recognized and to be fostered, the importance of the contribution from the youth to our ways of thinking, to our ways of analyzing positions, to our ways of evaluating proposals. I think that has been absolutely a common thread that can be identified throughout all these years. And I think, and I was trying to sort of summarize what I needed to say now, because I know time is, we are over time now, but maybe if I can just maybe give in one line what I think that the role of the youth can play in this process, is that you need to keep us on our toes. I think it's very important that you remind us of the urgency of change, and you remind us that the decisions that we're making now will affect the coming generations, and therefore that you not only we need to be open to the voices from the youth, but also be open to proposals and be open to listen to your ideas and make sure that dialogue is not only listening but also responding, and it's a two-way street in any way. So keep us on our toes. I think you are very good at that task, and also don't be afraid of making mistakes. I think somebody was saying, you come to these people that you look very experienced and seasoned diplomats, and you have the impression that they know a lot of things, if not everything. But indeed, I think somebody was saying negotiators are human and human beings that make mistakes, that don't know everything. So in that admission and recognition that we all have weaknesses and bias, and we come with all our baggage of ideas. I think in that regard, the fresh view from the youth is extremely useful, and we need that in order to keep up the momentum, to keep up our level of ambition, and make sure that we indeed commit and deliver on what has been agreed on the Paris Agreement and other frameworks. The last thing I wanted to say is that yes, indeed, we as the Chilean delegation, we included 2 representatives from the youth in our delegation to go to Madrid. And that was sort of a pilot phase of something bigger, because in fact what we want to do now, and we are developing a project to create some sort of a speaking about education, to create some sort of a academy of young negotiators that can provide the tools to participate effectively and be prepared for the environment and the level of engagement at the COP, and making sure that is a transparent process, that is participatory, that allows for everybody to have a say. And of course, not everybody can actually join the delegation and travel to in this case to the UK for COP26, but we will make sure that at least a representative group of those youth members will join our delegation, and we will make sure that we make them work as negotiators, to propose, to participate, to take the microphone, and to talk to other delegations, to come back with ideas, and negotiate on behalf of Chile. I think that is extremely useful and needed in order to enrich our positions and our view of where the process should go. So, and we, of course, we want that to also be available to everybody else, to every country that is also interested in participation like that. So we hope that will be a contribution. We are working on that. We have, as you know, extra time for preparing for COP26. We will try to make a good use of that, and look forward to sharing the results with all of you later on in another meeting. But for now, I think again, congratulations. It's been a great debate, a great share of experience, and thank you again, Diana, for the opportunity to speak. Thank you.
Julio, and also I would like to use the opportunity not only to thank you, but as well to the COP25 presidency and to Chile for the commitment and leadership in moving forward the ACE agenda. Thank you very much. And as parties agree in Katowice, this decision that request the Secretariat to raise awareness and train youth leaders from all over the world to take climate action. We will be delighted to continue working with you, Julio, and with Jongo, the Princess, and many of you who are joining us through this virtual event. Then before we close, we have some questions. I would like to invite Hunjin, my colleague, to read some of the questions, and please address also to whom the question is for. Hunjin.
Sure, thank you, Adriana. So our first question is directed to Her Royal Highness. So the question is, do we have time to aware people and motivate them to take action, or we, as somebody who are already aware, have to be strict and start taking the action?
I suggest that we read the 3 questions, and then after that we give the floor to all of them.
Okay, so our second question is for one of the younger members. So, do you know of young permanent structures already working that are in place to influence climate policy making and that we can copy in other countries? I know that Ludovica has some experience in hosting the local conference of youth, so she might be able to share her experience in this matter. And our last question would be, I think this can be answered by one of the younger focal point. So the question is, what if the country we want to work with does not have an ACE national focal point? Who would be the best to contact to integrate ACE into local NDC process, if so?
Excellent. Thank you very much, Hunji. And I think Nila also, who is from the working group on ACE of Yongo, is also taking some of the questions. Then Nila, these are all the questions. Fantastic. Now we have the questions from Nila and from Hunji. Then I would like to invite the princess to turn on your camera and to address the first question, and maybe if you have some final thoughts. Princess, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. First, before answering to the question, I want to thank our brother Julio Cordano, a temper of Artur. So with my not a good accent of it's time for action. And I think that the question has been asked to me, the answer rely into the question. So you already acting. I think that it's a matter of scaling, of being bold and bringing those solutions that is already out there and make them more consistent and make them more bold. And action for climate empowerment is here. For that is a great platform who can enhance that. I think that for my final word, I just want to thank you, Adriana, and to Fleur with all the team for that hard work, and also mainstreaming the gender part, the youth, and the boys and the girls that we are together. Thank you so much for organizing it. And it's time to move our S and move and start working. This is time for action. It's not a time for talk. Please, let's come together and make it happen. Thank you so much for organizing that session.
Thank you very much, Princess. And as you said, it's time to action and acting together. Then Ludovica, would you like to share your thoughts about the question?
Sure. So I do not specifically know any young permanent structures that are actively involved in influencing climate policy. I know that there are some associations. For example, in Italy, we have an association called Italian Climate Network, which is working with institutions in the organization of the Youth Cup that is going to happen next year, and that is involved in the whole process of the COP meetings and I think also the NDCs as well. And they are involved in the local conferences of youth. So I think that if you interact with the different organizations and associations in your country, and you start sharing ideas, and you decide, for example, to create a local conference of youth, it's a great way to start by doing some networking and saying, oh, you know, I know that Yongo has these initiatives and they organize them locally. And it's a great way to start building it up from the bottom up. It's a bottom up initiative instead of a top down initiative. That's what's great about it. And then the fact that it's a bottom up initiative, and it can become something successful. The institutions are later interested in these kind of initiatives, and that's how it creates some sort of connection between civil society and the institutions say, well, these ideas that came out of these conferences or from your events or from the climate education workshops that you're doing seem interesting. What do you think about creating a dialogue? So that's usually how it happens in these cases. So yeah, the ALCOIs are a great way to do that. And they're not permanent. I mean, it's quite new. The whole topic on action empowerment is quite new, so it's up to us to implement these kind of structures and make them permanent, possibly. So yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Lupita. And regarding the last question, I also would like to invite Julio. Julio, you are you are leading the team, the negotiation team in Chile. If you would like to reach their delegations, their countries to engage in climate policy, what would be your advice in case that there is not an ACE focal point? Who will you suggest they can engage to?
Well, ideally, I guess it would be very good for that delegation to see that the need of appointing one. But every single country has a national focal point, and these kind of matters fall into their functions. So I would say that normally that national focal point also bears the responsibility of coordination of the delegation in many cases. So I would say that would be a first point of entry. As well, the other thing, of course, is that the national structures vary in terms of who coordinates the climate policy in each country. But normally, countries like in Chile and many other countries have systems of participation and transparency of information that is surprisingly effective in many cases. In Chile, for example, we have a law that establishes that if you ask any questions to any public agency, that public agency has by law an obligation to respond with useful information to that request in a number of days. It's very quick. So it's 2-3 days that that response needs to be delivered. So if there is any question or orientation in order to participate, that I think that those channels are the most useful. But again, probably if you go to the UNFCCC website, you will see that every country has a national focal point. And my recommendation is to start with that. The UNFCCC website has the names, the telephone numbers, and the email. So I think it would be fairly easy to find a contact for that if there is no ACE national focal point.
Thank you very much, Julio. And I think it's a very good advice. If you want to engage with the ACE focal point. If you can know in your country there is not an ACE focal point, you can engage with the UNFCCC focal point. And at the UNFCCC website you can find the list with all the focal points. And just to close this webinar, I would like to invite the two younger focal points, Gita and Marie-Claire, to close the Youth Virtual Dialogue. Marie-Claire, Gita?
Yes, thank you so much. And maybe just a very quick response to what has been saying before. If there is no focal point, we as young people can also try to be meaningful and helpful and try to follow the activities and, for example, report back. This is also how I started the ACE activities, trying to be helpful to my delegation. And later on, I was able to support them also in the official negotiation. But to close this meeting, it was wonderful to have this in place, also to keep up the momentum on ACE, because by now we should have had already 2 weeks with negotiations and driving into the new work program. But yeah, thanks so much also for the leadership of the of you, Adriana, and your team to make it happen despite all of this troubles we have seen. And yeah, we as Youngo, we are over, and especially the ACE working group, are very, very happy to work with you and all the other people in the call. Thanks to everyone who has been so vocal about it to really steer this agenda forward. That by next year when we go into the negotiation phase, can have a very active and very ambitious ACE work program. Over to you, Hita.
Thank you. There's not much more to add now, but like Marie-Claire said, I think I just want to reinforce how much we appreciate the support that you've been giving us, and we would continue. We'd like to continue engaging with you going forward. So that's all I'd say for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much to the 2 Youngo focal points, to all the Youngo members who have helped to organize this virtual youth dialogue, to our speakers, Julio, Princess, our Deputy Executive Secretary, and especially all the youth voices, as well our colleagues from Unicef. It is just the beginning. As mentioned, we will continue organizing different virtual events and activities, and we look forward to working with all of you. Because, as said during the virtual dialogue, there is no time. It's urgent to take action, but the action that we need to take is a collective action to find together solutions. And I would like to invite all the speakers, please, turn on your camera, keep your microphone mute, because we are going to take the final family photo. Then, please, I would like to know, Amber, is everyone now on?
Yeah, as many as can be fit in that one screen. Yeah.
Fantastic. Then I would like to invite you, and maybe just to put your hands up, that we are going to mobilize this agenda, continue working together. A big smile. 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, and a good rest of the day to all of you in any place where you are following us. Bye.